Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Six Rings King show. Joined here, as always, by the Dos Amigos, Danny Gillette and Vish. What's going
Wasn't
on,
that a
fellas?
show? Wasn't that a sports radio show in Miami?
Dos. Oh my God, it was. You're
Dos
right.
Amigos.
Dos Amigos. Yeah, with Larry Milian,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Back
right,
when we
man.
had sports radio in Miami.
Shout out to Larry Milian, who's still doing this thing. Vish, I think we're gonna do things the right way today. I'll start off with our sponsor.
All right, you know what? I prepared, so
We're making progress.
That's why I can always count on you for that, man. I
we,
know I
we,
can.
we really came to play here. So there you go.
Here we go. Our sponsor for the night, Prize Picks, the official daily fantasy app of the Five Reasons Sports Network. Make sure you use the code FIVE when you're going to log in. When you're going to, your initial setup. Prize Picks will actually match your deposit up to $100. Use the code FIVE when you sign up. You don't even have to spend it all at once, which is kind of nice. You can play different sports. You can play the NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL when it comes back. You got so many different options, which is nice. And the good thing is that you can mix and match players. So I'll kind of get into that now. Here's how it works. Basically, you pick 2 to 5 players. Okay, all depending on how much you want to win. That's the bottom line. How much money you want to make? Okay, pick between 2 and 5 players. Pick the over under on individual categories for each player, and then just let them do their thing and see how much you can win. Make sure you go to PrizePicks.com. As my dog barks in the background, go to PrizePicks.com. Sign up today. Use the code FIVE, and enjoy, man. Go make some money. All right, let's talk about the some disappointing times. But look, we've got some good news also because Danny will kind of share with us. We all, some of us Kings fans know a couple of the guys that have visited. One really important piece, as Vish mentioned last night on Max's show on Maxed Out, is actually going to be visiting again tomorrow, which is awesome. And I'm really excited about that. But before we get into that, uh, let's talk a little bit about college baseball, and let's talk about more than anything. Let's talk about the University of Miami baseball team who ended their season on a very, very disappointing note. And I don't care if you're. First of all, I'm going to preface that by saying I don't care if you're a fan of Geno's or not. Gino Damari, they still ended it on a very disappointing note. They played bad. The last month or two of the season, they played bad, and they just couldn't get it going and turn it around in the postseason, especially when you're playing at home. And I know Vish, we spoke about this, and you said, hey, they got a shot because they're playing at home. If they were playing away, no shot. Didn't even happen. So they played poorly again at home this time, and they ended up falling in the regionals after hosting a regional since 2016 was the last time they hosted a regional.
Yeah, and this is the first time with the national seed where it didn't go to Omaha. Not even close, by the way. So, it's disappointing. I think we were hoping that we dedicate a big piece of this show to previewing the Super Regional. Instead, we ended up, bouncing out in 3 games, and yeah, it's disappointing. It kind of follows a pattern of how we've struggled in the past. Couldn't hit, couldn't make timely pitching, errors at the wrong time. It was a mess, and it bit us. Don't go, Jess, don't go review our WhatsApp chat from this weekend when we were up on Ole Miss, and I was like, I'm coming down for supers. We're doing this.
No, geez,
and then I think we might have jinxed it because immediately after that they blew that game, and actually both games they lost were almost the same game.
Yeah, it really was. It was unbelievable how similar both games were. And by the way, I will mention this also, how I knew that it was going to happen in both games, right? Like it was just kind of one of those things where you're like, oh, somehow they're going to end up blowing it. The best closer in the game is going to end up, scooting the poot as well. So, and it happened. It's just
and the reason those things happen though is you can only get away with so much bad fundamentals, and especially, the way the team is constructed, and we talked about this a little bit, and maybe we should expand on it. But it's a lot of undersized kids. We're not the team that gets off the bus and you're like, oh wow, that's Miami, right? So if you're gonna play that, there is a way to win doing that. That's to be fundamentally sound. opportunistic base running, be really good in the field.
Right.
Move runners over. It's not the way I don't think either of us want to play. It's not the way college baseball is played now, but there is a way to score runs doing that. We make errors. We can't drive in runs. We can't get productive outs, like the strikeouts, like all of that. Like you can't play that way. And that's what bit us. And I think, like you said, we were basically getting by the whole weekend with Yo-Yo hitting home runs. And that was basically it. Like he hit home runs against Canisius, so we won that game. He almost won the Arizona game until we blow it by also hitting a 2-run home run. So we were basically relying on him.
Right.
But, there's only so much you can do with one player essentially driving in all your RBIs by hitting home runs. And there were so many opportunities to score and blow those games open. And frankly, like that Ole Miss game should have been over in the first inning. Their pitcher had zero control. He was hitting people. He was walking people. Bases loaded, 1 out. And we chased so many pitches out of the zone, trying to drive them in. Just let him walk in 3 or 4 runs and the game's over.
And this is the thing. Like I kept looking up because I was at the game. And I kept looking up. And the kid has like a 3.1 ERA. Right, so not a bad pitcher at all. What's his name? Hunter Riley or something like that. Whatever his name is.
The lefty,
Yeah, just a crafty little lefty. Threw about 88, 89. But he was all over the place. But a guy like that had a 3.1 ERA, and I'm thinking to myself, this has got to be his bad game, right? This has got to be a game where he doesn't look good, and he didn't look good, and Miami still made him look better.
Well, that's the problem. So
right?
he's a freshman.
Okay.
He's got 4 pitches. So he's hard to kind of gauge because he can throw 4 pitches. Most, especially freshmen, can't throw 4 pitches. So that's why it was hard to make contact. That's why he kept striking people out. He's a good pitcher.
Yeah.
He was nervous, and he had no command in the early innings. And we let him off the hook by trying to chase balls. And you know what? If someone has 4 pitches and they're throwing it out of the zone, you swing at it, you're probably going to miss. Like, it's not, because you'll sometimes, go after pitches out of the zone and hit them because you're sitting on that pitch.
Sure.
But this kid was mixing it up, but he was missing. And all we had to do was just stand there. And he would have walked in a few runs. And frankly, that's all we needed. I mean, the shame of the weekend is the starts we got from Patelli. I mean, from Palmquist and
definitely not Patelli.
And yeah, no, we'll get into Patelli in a second. Gary distracted me in the chat, but the starts we got from Palmquist and from Rosario. I mean, what more do you want? Like that's it. You win this. That was all we need to do was outslug Canisius, which we did.
Right.
And then get 2 good starts, and then you go 3-0 and get out of the regional. That's all we had to do, and we got all that, and we couldn't score at all. And the fact that the number of times we had runners on third with less than 2 outs and couldn't just do a fly ball. Like, I mean, come on. It's unbelievable.
How many times did we have runners in scoring position, whether it was at second or third, and no outs, and we couldn't get a run across?
Yeah, I mean, it was multiple times. The most egregious was obviously the 8th inning of the last game. We're up 1 run, second and third, no outs. Just need to get those insurance runs. It'll take all the pressure off in the 9th inning. Could not get a productive out. Didn't score. It was actually harder to not score than to score in that situation. Didn't score. Then, of course, the 9th inning. And, Walters takes the loss, but frankly, 2 strikeouts and a ground out should have done it.
Yeah.
But once again, the fundamentals aren't there. Patelli airmailed the throw. And as much as you want to say.
Made a good play, by the way. Made a good play.
Oh, great play. And that's
why. And then he rushed it.
Again,
no reason to rush the ball.
Chronic problem with him. He leads the team in errors. And one of the reasons he leads the team in errors is because he's so good with his glove. He flags things down. And for whatever reason, they've never corrected take a breath and throw it. Like, you do not need to. Almost all of his errors are he makes a great play with the glove because that's normally a single. Like, if it's not him, it goes into the outfield.
Right.
But because he was able to stop it, then he gets up plenty of time. And like you said, he rushed it, threw it off his back foot, airmailed it. He did the same thing earlier in the day against Ole Miss when similar thing makes a great play, or is it Canisius, where he made a great play in the hole and then did a 360 spin and tried to throw in through it wide instead of just setting his feet, throwing it. You're like, what are you doing? Another time their catcher was running and he stabbed the ball and then threw without setting his feet, even though he had a year to get it over there and get him out. Like that, you got to coach because he's got a great arm. He's got great range. He's excellent in the field. He should not be making 20 errors in a season.
It's
And that's
very
only,
Ray Ordonez-esque.
yeah, except he doesn't have that level of skill. I'm sorry. Like I mean that's a hell of a name drop. I'll give you
Does
that.
anybody remember watching Ray Ordonez
Yeah.
make all these beautiful, plays, right? And then he makes the easy ones look terrible. I'm not saying that was an easy play to make either way, but yeah.
No, it should have been.
You
It
hit
should
right
have
on the head.
been. It should have been a. It should have been a great play to end the game, and instead it gave them life. And then, of course, from there, I mean, it's just a complete meltdown. Had 1 and 2 on the next hitter, and then hit him. I mean, it's just like it was a slow moving train wreck. And of course, we didn't just go 1, 2, 3 in the night. Got the runner to third base with 1 out. Could not sack fly him in either. Don't even get me started on why we pinch hit with Gabby.
Exactly. How do you feel? How do you feel about pinch hitting?
Insane.
Pinch hitting there.
Insane. If we pinch hitted with someone that is a good, I would have taken anyone on the team that I thought could make contact. Gabby Gutierrez has one of the worst, if not the worst, strikeout ratio on the team. That's who he put up there. So of course he struck out.
Yeah.
He also went to a righty-righty matchup when he had Villegas up, who's a lefty-righty matchup. So I don't even know what he was doing, to be honest.
Well, I think what he did there was it had to do with what Ole Miss was going to do with their pitcher, if they were gonna take him out and bring in a lefty. And I just think he made the move before the pitcher could be announced, and then therefore they just kept the righty in. I think
this is Arizona, is what you meant, right?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, I'm talking about Arizona. I'm sorry. You're talking about Ole Miss. My bad.
No. I'm talking about Arizona also. You said.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You said Ole Miss. You said Ole Miss.
Oh, I did say Ole Miss. My bad. Yeah.
It was literally the same. It was literally the same game twice with like an hour in between. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally
similar colors.
They're both wearing blue. We lost it exactly the same way. Like it was all we had to do was stand there and like get walked in, and we didn't do it. We couldn't get productive outs. But I mean, to me, he's one of the last people you go to. Just because he's a high strikeout guy, the one thing you got to do is get the ball in play. Run on third, 1 out, get the ball in play. Get the run home. Go to extra innings at worst. And you do not pinch it with someone. I don't care if they're righty, lefty, switch, whatever. Anyone that can put the ball in play is what you need there. And he didn't do it. And wasn't surprising he struck out because he's a high strikeout guy. He's also got more power given his limited at-bats. So I think Gino was like...
That's obviously the play, right? That
was like...
But we didn't need him to hit a 2-run bomb.
I think Gino was like, I think Gino thought he was going for the 2-run bomb. I mean, it's just
I get, okay, obviously if he hits a 2-run bomb, we win the game. Right? It's a walk-off. But the truth is, like, you're having issues manufacturing runs. And I hate to say it, but that's why I think maybe I have the wrong impression of this, but maybe that's why Gino did that, right? Because he says, hey, we're having issues just hitting the ball. Period. Right? We're having issues manufacturing runs. The only way apparently we can get runs across the board is if we hit the ball out of the park. Let me bring in Gabby, who's got a little bit of pop, can drive in some runs, hitting the ball out of the park. That's going to be our only shot. Now, I'm not saying that it's the greatest strategy. Maybe it's the only thing he could have done in that position. But again, that's a bad position to be in to begin with. Right?
There's multiple problems there though, because no, I agree. I think that's the only explanation. I've been thinking about this for like 3 days now. I do not understand how you pitch it with that hitter in that spot. But yeah, I think he was the guy with the most pop.
Right.
So maybe that was the move. But again, like you need the ball in play, period. We'd already failed to like make a productive out in the previous inning with second and third and no outs. And the thing is, you had Yo-Yo on deck. So you didn't if you somehow get that runner home at that point, you're taking bases empty with Yo-Yo up as a chance to score. So like
they're probably going to walk him because they did that to him against.
They walked him after we recorded that after the strikeout, and now it was first base open and 2 outs.
Right.
If you get a productive out, are they really going to walk him with the bases empty? Probably not. They'd probably pitch around him. Maybe he'd walk anyway. But he had Yo-Yo up next, so I don't know why you're trying to say you got to end the game before it gets to Yo-Yo. That doesn't make sense. The second thing is, we talked about this a lot, Jazz and I, off on the side texting, but like, why is Villegas in the 2-hole? Like, what is happening? Why do you have to pinch hit for the second batter on your team in the 9th inning? Like, that should be an automatic, this guy is going to bat. Like, I don't understand what's even going on there.
Not only that, I think I had an issue with, and I like Ariel Garcia. I think Garcia is going to end up being a pretty good player. He's got some stuff to work on, but he's a freshman, and he showed that he could play a little bit. Okay,
he got the hit in the ninth and was the guy on third.
He did. But I don't know if I agree with hitting him second either. Right, the beginning, right? He DH'd.
Yeah, I don't understand. Again, it's kind of old school thinking. You know, it's not even new at this point. You know, you put your best hitter in the 2 spot.
Right.
This is the way baseball's been played for at least like 5 or 6 years. So
I mean, Aaron Judge hits in the 2 spot.
Yeah, no, the best player on the team generally hits the 2 spot. Should obviously be Yo-Yo. I don't know what we're doing, but the fact that you had to pinch hit for the second guy in the lineup, like that's a failure right there. And then, you know, the back end of the lineup was just atrocious. I think the only hit that got out of there was when Ariel pinch hit.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, look, Jacob Burke didn't have a great regional either.
No, and he was one of the ones who failed with less than 2 outs where he could have driven.
Zach Levinson, I think, had that one double. But all around, he really didn't do much either. Max Romero, obviously, we spoke about this, kind of disappeared in the regional as well after having a pretty decent end of the season, right? Where he hit over 300, I think, the last 2 months or so, and he looked like he was starting to play a little bit better. It's to me, and I know we've spoken about this ad nauseum off air, but I think it needs to be mentioned again. And Les, we'll get to that question, by the way, regarding the new head coach and all that. Thanks, Les, Gary, Steve, whoever's in the chat, whoever's there supporting us. But the truth is that for me, and look, a lot of you guys that have been on Twitter and all this stuff, y'all bring up some great points. I'm a college baseball guy too. Okay, I played college baseball. I played a little bit after that, not minor league baseball, but I played competitively. And for me, man, I can spot things right away as well. Okay, and the approach that these hitters had at the plate was just absolutely insane. I'm going to use all these adjectives, right? They're adjectives: insanely, incredibly, terrible. That's just the bottom line. It was a terrible approach at the plate from each and every one. I think the only one I was okay with the way that he was swinging his mindset at the plate was Yo-Yo, just because he was crushing the ball. Let him just go out there and swing freely. He's going to get – you saw him hit a ball away to right field. You saw him hit a ball down the middle to center. You saw him hit a ball that he picked up off the ground and hit to center as well. I'm okay with him kind of free swinging and kind of having his own approach up there because he's the best hitter on the team. He's the best player on the team. And at any moment, he can hit the ball out. He can hit the ball off the wall. He can get it. So I don't care, right? Like he's a really good hitter already. His approach was fine for me. I think the other guys just had. I mean, I don't understand how they're. I mean, Patelli saw 3 straight pitches down the middle of the plate and looked at all three pitches and sat down. Like, come on, man. Let's. Yeah.
And part of that though,
it's hitting approach, man. It's not even about it's not even about the guys not being good hitters. And the truth of the matter is that's coaching. That's coaching. Hitting approach is coaching.
It absolutely is. And the other failure, I think, and first of all, I agree with everything you said. Like they're taking, if you're struggling, which basically most of the lineup was, especially the back half. Like I don't even remember the last time Patelli got a hit. I think by the end of the series, he was 0 for his last 18 or 19. 0
for 19, I think it was.
Something like that. So when you're struggling like that, like sit on one pitch, wait for it to come and just swing at it, right? Instead, they're sitting there taking, get over fastballs to start the count, falling behind, then chasing, breaking stuff out of the zone. Like just sit on the fastball when it comes swing. I mean, if you can't hit a changeup, don't get in a position where you have to swing
at it. Yeah.
Well, you start by putting yourself in a position where you have to swing at it by taking fastballs early in the count. Like just go swing at them. These are right down the middle. And then the other thing where I fault the coaches is someone like Patelli. There were chances with runners on base. Just sacrifice bunt him. He has not gotten a hit in like 3 weeks. Let him do something positive so he can get his mindset back. Because you could tell by the end of it, he tried to bunt for a hit at one point. He was gone mentally. He knew he couldn't hit. Like you owe it to him to, hey, just move the runners over, take the out. Everyone will clap. You'll feel good going back to the dugout. You did your job. And it just gets you going again. And nothing. Swinging away. And I think it affected his fielding too.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
was why it caused those errors. And it's just
And by the way, you're not supposed to, right? They tell you don't take your struggles on at the plate
yeah, but
with you
it's
on the
gonna
field, but
happen. These are
it's gonna
human. They're
happen. It
human,
happens.
right? They're human,
Absolutely.
and it's on the coaches to also. I mean, we talked about this a lot. I think we talked about this at the game we went to together. But like Perez was just not it, man. And we knew Max could not catch 2 games in one day.
Right.
And we were talking all year like, hey, they got to work in JD Jones more because we cannot play Perez in a big spot. We get to the elimination game and he has to play.
Yeah.
And he's a 1-something hitter, and now that's a dead out. That's an out, right? I mean, that's an automatic out. That the back half, every third inning, we knew we couldn't score because the back half of the lineup couldn't do anything.
Look, listen, this game, okay, and you know this, Vish. Obviously, I know this. A lot of baseball player. You don't even have to be a baseball guy to know this. Baseball is a game of momentum. Okay, it's a game of streaks, and just like a lot of other sports, right? It's a game of streaks, or in game. Like for instance, basketball is a game of streaks. People, each team's going to go on their streak. You got to be able to withstand, hold it, and come back and have your own streak, so on and so forth. However, baseball is a little bit different, right? In the sense that streaks means it's more about momentum. It's more about the mind. Okay, it's not so much about talent and athleticism so much as it is about the mind and your mindset and the momentum you have and how you can, quite frankly, outsmart the opponent. Okay, there's certain things that you can do as a player that can create that momentum, but there's certain things that the coach can definitely do. The coach has a lot of say in how the momentum is built and how a team plays every single day. And whether a lot of people agree, and I know I'm going to get off on this tangent about a new head coach or not, whether people agree or not that Gino, needs to go, can get another extra year. Obviously, he signed the extension, yada, yada, yada. The team is going to feed off of your coach, okay, more than ever in baseball, okay, because the coach is going to be able to dictate what happens on the field a lot of the times. There's a guy on first base, the coach is going to tell you if you can steal or not. Typically in college baseball, you're not going to be able to dictate whether you take off or not, right? Unless you're like the best player on the team, nobody gives a crap. You do whatever you want, and that happens a lot too. However, the coach can dictate how plays are run, how plays are what players can do on the field, what they can't do, how they adjust, how they position themselves. There's a lot of things that the coach can kind of dictate on the field. And not only that, but just from a momentum standpoint of being able to talk to these players and being able to coach them up and get them fired up and get them ready and get them mentally focused on the game. A lot of times it has to do a lot with the coach. Okay. And I just don't think Gino had his guys ready to play. He hasn't had his guys ready to play for a couple of months. Again, this is not to say that this team is bad. First of all, nobody expected this team to do what they did. Bottom line, to get a 6 seed. Okay,
well, in both directions.
Yeah, we didn't, right? But again, it doesn't matter because at this point we are the number 6 seed. So now you got to continue to play like a number 6 seed, and they just didn't. And that has a lot to do, as much to do with the players as it does to do with the coaching.
Right, and the other thing with that is, baseball is also about being opportunistic, and
Absolutely.
that's being and you don't know when the opportunity is going to come. And to your point, that's being mentally prepared to take care of it. This team is, for lack of a better word, a basket case. Like any little thing goes wrong, they collapse. They don't take advantage of opportunities, and that's been a chronic problem. Even when winning games, it was always like, "Who got away with that one?" Boy, thank God we had Walters in there because otherwise we were right. I mean, how many times do you have to say that? And like, these are games where we'd often like, if you look at our left on base versus the opponent, it's often like 5, 6, 7 more. This was all year, and it caught up with us here. But you're absolutely right. On a whole, this was a young team coming in. No one predicted them to be a national seed. But when the opportunity presents itself, when Palmquist and Rosario deliver those types of performances, you got to win those games. You don't get that many opportunities in the sport.
Well, were you not waiting for that kind of performance from Alejandro Rosario all freaking
I mean,
season?
he was locked in. Even McFarland took the loss, and like he pitched really well. He pitched out of a jam, and it was just, you're playing Ole Miss in Arizona. Unfortunately, like I know everyone's like Ole Miss shouldn't have gotten in or whatever. These are big time players. Like,
hold on a second. By the way, Ole Miss was the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, no, that's why. And Arizona, I mean, Ole Miss and Arizona played in a super regional last year. Like these are big time. Like when you're honestly, you want the smaller schools because those are guys that don't have that talent level. And you saw like those, what ended up, again, we should have put those games away because, of course, like you said, baseball, this is what happens. You make a mistake and the lineup, oh, look, it's Ole Miss's best player up and he doubles and we lose the game. Like, I mean, that it happened to be him, right? That's how baseball works. It bites you. When you waste opportunities, the karma gods screw with you. And the same thing happened against Arizona. It was their leadoff hitter. We got the first two guys out striking out. Leadoff hitter grounded what should have been the game-ending out. Error. Oh, it's a top 10 catcher followed by like the leading RBI guy in the Pac-12, wherever the hell it was. And of course, we hit one guy and then doubles and you lose. Like, I mean, that is because look, these are good programs, not just teams, but programs. These are big-time programs you're playing. You got to cash in, and we didn't. But to your point, the mindset's not there. I don't know how to fix that, to be honest, because like you figure like the young guys would be confident. They haven't failed before, but man, they tightened up. Like they were scared, man. They were definitely not.
You know what it has to do for me sometimes is the indecisiveness of putting players in the positions to succeed, right? And obviously I'm going somewhere with that, right? Like Gino was a little I don't want to say indecisive because I can't tell if the guy's indecisive or not, but I just think that he may be making the wrong moves, okay? Kind of gets the players thinking, well, why the hell did he make that move? And why the hell did he do this? And if you don't think that, if people don't think that players think about that when they're in the dugout trying to figure out why the hell he's pinch hitting what's his face, Gabby Gutierrez there. Yeah. Some players do. Some players are smarter than people give them credit for. Okay, some players are going to let's say, Gabby's been striking out a lot. He's a strikeout guy. You want that guy up right now, or do you need a guy that's going to make contact no matter what? A guy like Renzo Gonzalez, I understand that he got a pinch hit opportunity, hit the ball up the middle. He hit the ball up the middle. They played him up the middle, and if not, that's a base hit right up the middle. Yeah. Okay, but that's a guy that doesn't strike out a lot. Why is he not pinch hitting in that position, right? Like, so I don't care about the lefty and the righty matchup because Max Romero hits better against lefties. Okay, and so it's. For me, it's about the mentality and the where these players are, and if these players are not fully focused or they're constantly, overthinking what it is that's happening on the field, you're not going to be ready to go. You have to be fully focused and fully ready to when your name is called to be able to execute, and that's not what we saw.
And another part of that, I mean, we talked about J.D. Jones earlier. It was defining roles for these kids. He was all over the place with the lineups. I mean, and part of it was there was a lot of players not performing, but you got to get some consistency. They're not comfortable. Like, when he's going to pinch hit, it's almost like just roll the roulette wheel. Oh, it came up Gabby Gutierrez. Go ahead. Like, I mean, there was no rhyme or reason to how we were doing really anything.
Yeah.
And that, again, we're talking about comfort of like, I know my role, I know what I need to do. Nothing. He kept moving people around the lineup. I think Patelli batted in 3 different spots over the weekend. I mean, it's just, you got to provide that platform for them to play well off of, and he's not doing it. A couple of things in the comments I wanted to address. So is Gino the hitting coach? He was for Jim Morris. Now I think it's Noberto Lopez, right?
Right.
But one thing I would like to talk about there, though, 2019 was the one year where we looked like we knew how to hit. We had a volunteer assistant who's now like the associate head coach at USF, Bo Durkach. He was before that a head coach at Illinois State, has a long resume. I'm wondering how much of a role he played in that. He's not one of our guys. He came in with a different perspective. And I'm wondering if he had a lot to do with kind of that 1 year we could actually hit the ball. Yeah. Coaching the kids up, getting them confidence. And of course, he got plucked immediately to be like he was one of the volunteer assistant coaches. So,
well, I looked that up, and we hit as a team, we hit 291 that year. We averaged 7.5 runs a game and over 10 hits a game. That's pretty big time.
Yeah, and
I think we hit. I mean, we didn't hit a lot of home runs. We hit 85 home runs, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Terrell had that. That was Terrell had that big year.
Yeah, he had 24 that year. And then I think the guy right behind them had 12. So I can't remember who.
It might have been Adrian, but
it was a little Caballo or whatever.
Yeah,
Castillo definitely was him. So and quite frankly, that team had a hell of a pitching staff too. So,
yeah, that was just another that was right before they kind of got they were still young. That was
were.
another blown opportunity. I mean that it was going to be hard to go into Starkville and win, but losing the opener to Central Michigan, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
It's another one of those like don't go to the losers, right?
And I think the most upsetting part of it all is that we came back and beat Central Michigan 18-3.
Yep, we beat them 18-3,
Yeah.
and the first game we were up 4-0, and we blew it. So I mean, it's just like repetitive pattern after pattern. Something's
I think
right.
there's too many peaks and valleys, and I think that you need to maintain consistency. So let's get to that because I think that's important.
Well, let's talk about this.
I
just want to address something else in the comments, which is Thomas is absolutely right. They had bad seasons for them, but they have big time players.
But they're not
they have
bad
guys
teams.
that are going to be drafted, and you could actually see why they had bad seasons. Like, we didn't load the bases because we like strung hits together. We loaded the bases because the guy couldn't throw a strike. Now, if you want to beat a team that has some talent that's underachieving, usually the reason they underachieve is because they do things like that. You got to take advantage. We had ample opportunities to put those games away and win by 4 or 5 runs and not be in that positions we were at the end of the game. We didn't take them, and you leave them in the game. They have talented players. Absolutely. So they made some plays. Like, they made plays too. Credit to them. Like, their big players stepped up. Both games were basically the same thing. Their best players came up to the plate and delivered doubles with the game on the line to win the game. Like, that is what happened. But why are we in a position where it's a 1-run game? Because we didn't capitalize on their mistakes. And why are their records worse than they should be on paper? Because when they make those mistakes, teams capitalize. So we didn't do it. We should have. Ole Miss was dying to go down 5-0 in the first inning and just throw that game away. Like, that guy could not. He struck out the side eventually because we kept swinging and missing and stuff out of the zone. Like, it was insane. And then once he settled in, like, again, he's good.
So the first three. So let's put it into perspective. The first 3 guys got on base, which were CJ Kafis with that bunt, right? A little bunt single that he hit down the line of third base. Then he walked Garcia. Yeah. And then
I think Yo-Yo struck out. Then it was another walk. Then Max walked. And then Burke and Levinson struck out.
And then Burke and Levinson struck out. So the heart of your lineup, and it happened twice that game.
Yeah.
The heart of your lineup with men in scoring position and no outs could not capitalize on scoring any runs. That tells you everything you need to know about, how this team was struggling down the line. Which obviously brings us to what a lot of people are apparently were arguing about on your timeline there, Vish, after you wrote that amazing article, which everybody can check out on 5 Reasons Sports, on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So it's 5reasonsports.com, right? Yeah, 5reasonsports.com. Yes. Make sure you guys check that out. He'll probably post it again, which it was an incredible article on the state of current affairs for this team. And the coaching staff, primarily Gino. But, honestly speaking, I think that we need to take into account how bad the hitting is. And if Gino's not the hitting coach, Gino's the hitting coach for
Jim Morris.
For Jim Morris. And to be quite honest with you, I went to a lot of those camps growing up, the Jim Morris camps. And some of those teams are some of the best teams you'd ever seen. You ever seen play college baseball. And while the game has changed a little bit, I think Gino has a clue as to, what to do with hitting. I think that obviously the biggest downfall has been, the hitting coach or whoever it is that's coming in now and teaching these guys whatever it is, if it's a bad approach, if it's a bad mindset. Talk to me about your feeling, Vish, because there's a lot of people that are kind of saying, well, why? He's brought this team back up. He's resurrected this team from, shitty seasons. Whether it was 2017, 2018.
Missed the NCAA tournament.
Missed the NCAA tournament, brings it back in 2019. Then 2020 COVID happened, so there's not much anybody can do about that. Totally understand. 2021 was a crappy year. 2022 now a better year again, right? A lot of attrition with the transfer portal things. How do you really feel about what's going on with Gino DiMaria as the head ball coach here for the Canes?
Yeah, so he changes need to be made. Like you said, it's been chronic, and whatever it is, this is a program. You mentioned those old teams that basically thrived in the high pressure situations, the high leverage situations. I mean, we're not that far removed from Edgar Michelangelo starting a riot, right? And he's not a power guy, but it was his time to step up, and he knocked it over the fence and and told everyone about it.
Yeah.
And right, like it's the same program. We're not that far removed from that. It was 5
Jacob
years
Hayward,
ago.
right? Jacob Hayward.
Jacob Hayward, yeah. We're 5 years removed though from just having that confidence, and whatever's happened, like it's broken there. So something needs to change. With that said, you mentioned it. Like the last 2 years of the Jim Morris era, we missed the NCAA tournament. Gino came in, we made regionals. That 2020 year, like you said, was COVID. That team was top 5. And legitimately, not like this year where we're like, I don't think we're that good, but we keep winning. What's going on here? Like that team was loaded.
This baseball team kind of reminds you a little bit of the 2017 football team, right?
Yeah, the 2017 football team. Exactly. You're like, we keep winning. We're ranked high, but man, there's no way this team is that good. And actually melted down at the end of the season the same way. But the 2020 team, I think that's a tough one just because that team was legitimate. It had three starters that could have been aces. And like it was loaded at pitching. This was before whatever the hell happened in 2021. Where we couldn't hit anymore. Like we were hitting. We were, I think, ranked 5th or 6th in the country, and just starting ACC play, and definitely headed to a national seed. And obviously, COVID, they canceled everything, and that was it. So it's hard to know what to do with that. That might have been his.
I think we were 12-4, right?
We were 12-4 and playing really well. We were in first place in the ACC. I think that one is. I mean, that might have been his showcase team. That's like, this team's going to Omaha, and we could even maybe win it with it. And he didn't get that opportunity. Right. Last year, I mean, I don't know what he did with those kids during COVID, but they came back and on them completely anymore. like we lost the pitchers. The pitchers all went pro. Like I said, that was like a legitimate, like big time staff. But the same guys who were hitting in 2019, hitting in 2020 couldn't hit anymore. So I don't know what happened there. I feel like mentally a lot of them, did not keep up with the game in the outage because of the pandemic, and they came back. I mean, certainly some of them looked a little, let's just say, thicker than they had in the previous year. And I'm just talking about your boy, Jazz. Some of the other ones as well.
My boy, I hate
chronic leg injuries and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's because you're overweight. But anyway, so it didn't click. But this is the frustrating part. So it wasn't 2021 team was not good. This year's team was definitely better. You get to that UF regional, and UF implodes. All you had to do was beat USF and UAB, and you couldn't do it. Like, come on. Like, that's what I'm talking about, being opportunistic, taking advantage. And frankly, couldn't score at all. Again, won the first game 1-0.
Yep.
And then just couldn't score in the other 2 games, and that was it. And it's, I don't know. But then you look at this year again, it was a step forward. So if you look at his overall, like, kind of arc here, I'm sorry, I know people don't want to hear this. There is no athletic director alive that would fire a coach based on his record since he's been that coach. So, like, I understand the frustration. I'm as frustrated as you are. We were all sitting there, runner on third in the 9th inning, went out and be like, there's no chance. Like, hopefully this guy throws a wild pitch because there is no chance we're going to knock him in. And we didn't. And, like, no one was surprised. I mean, it's become a running joke of how often we fail with the bases loaded, right? I mean, it is like, so I see all the same warts everyone else does, but you can't fire the dude off of like getting a national seed for losing 2 1-run games. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, to me, that's not the solution. But I'm hoping.
And to be honest with you, he's a hell of a recruiter, right? He's bringing in again the number 1 recruiting class in the country next year, if I'm not mistaken. And that's
like
guys,
the 3rd in a row, yeah.
Yeah, and that's with guys that get drafted right in the first round, the second round, because that's going to happen. And even with that being said, he's going to bring in still a top 2, a top 3 recruiting class next year again. But at the end of the day, I think that there needs to be some changes made. And a lot of people are calling for Gino's head. And I understand it. I get it. But like you mentioned, I don't think there's no chance in hell. Number 1, he just got an extension. Number 2, there's nobody in their right mind is going to do that. Do changes need to be made? Yes. Is J.D. Arteaga one of the best college pitching coaches in the country? I would have to lean towards yes on that, especially so what he's done this year with some of those guys on the mound. Okay. I think it has to do with the offense, man. I think that there has to be some changes made there. And this is not to talk crap about Norberto or anybody else that's been on staff, but they're not cutting it. And the approach needs to change. And I think that we have some players on this team that can really hit the ball and are really talented, but they're just not being coached properly. And believe it or not, and Vish, you might agree with me more than others, but man, baseball, you have to be coached up the right way because you learn tendencies, you learn a specific mindset that you should be playing with. And I learned this from a guy that played at University of Miami, one of the best players that ever played at University of Miami, Manny Crespo. He's a kid that used to tell me, and especially what you were talking about, Vish, earlier about your approach at the plate. Man, he told me this, and he's one of the best hitting coaches that I know. He told me specifically, he goes, I never, ever, I knew I couldn't hit a curveball. I was terrible at hitting a curveball. So you know that every curveball that they threw me, I spit on it. But when they threw me a fastball, I was ready to hit the ball 400 feet. And that's it. And if you throw me a curveball and you struck me out, I'm tipping my hat to you and I'm walking to the dugout. But if you threw me a fastball, or if you threw me anything around the plate hard, I'm hitting it 500 feet. But that's the mentality that I don't think a lot of these players have now. And that starts with the coaching staff.
Yeah, and you mentioned the mental aspect of it. Baseball is such a tough sport because you can't lean on your teammates. It's just you against the pitcher. You know, other sports, it's like, I can't do this. Well, you know, I pass it to this guy, or like with basketball, you know,
right,
he'll get the double team, so I get the open shot. There's none of that. It's you against the pitcher. You're on your own out there, and it's on the coaches to make sure you're in a position mentally to succeed. You know this guy's going to throw these pitches, so you sit on it. And you know what? Also knowing, hey, this guy throws a bunch of junk. This guy at the bottom of our lineup can't hit junk. Lay one down because he's not going to get a hit. He's not going to hit this dude's changeup. This guy's just going to give him changeups. Let him bunt it. Like, I mean, that type of stuff, like, we're doing none of that. And we do seem, and you mentioned matchups, like, we are and it's ironic because we pinch hit and undid one of these, but we are so reliant on lefty right up. He changes the whole line, lefty righty. He changes the whole lineup around every game based on if the pitcher's left-handed.
Yep.
And like, again, that's old school thinking. Like, no, get your best talent on the field.
That's
like
it.
You mentioned, Max is a better hitter against lefties. Like, get your best talent on the field, let them hit. Like, it's just,
yeah.
He's stuck like 15 years ago. And so, like you said, fresh blood needs to come in. And, you know, it was a young team, so most of these kids should be coming back. But, you know, we've been there before. That 2019 team was a young team with everyone coming back. Again, 2020 was unfortunate.
Thankfully, Yo-Yo's not draft eligible.
I know, thank God. He's going top 5.
Yeah. Max is gone. Max will get drafted. Max will be out. So I mean,
what's the deal with the draft? Is it still a shortened, like, less rounds, or they go back to normal? Because some of these kids.
Good question.
We might get some people back.
I think it's back to how it was pre-COVID.
Okay.
But it's still obviously shorter still than what it used to be. But it's I think it's still up to 30 something.
Okay,
rounds.
then a lot of these kids will go, because I think for a while there was like 8 rounds, so
right.
we're getting a lot of people come back.
I think it was only 2020 and 2021 or something like that. So obviously Carson will be gone.
Do you think he'll actually, like, I don't know that he has
Carson Palmquist?
Yeah, I mean, how high do you think he's gonna go?
I mean, he's not gonna be a first round guy.
No, I know, but I wonder if he goes low enough.
He'll probably be a top 10. He'll probably be a top 10 rounder.
I wonder if if he's top 10, he'll definitely go. I thought he might slide, because I don't know that he has
pitch.
Yeah, I don't know.
What is his second pitch is a slider, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if his stuff is like good enough to go high enough.
Well, his stuff is not great, right? Well, it's not great as a starter. Yeah. It was a lot better as a closer, but
I mean, it was fine as a starter on the college level.
Right.
I just don't see it translating.
Yeah, it was all right. Well, he was 89 to 91. Something.
No, but I mean, he got the job done in college, but I don't see it
translating. The thing with him is the way that is his mechanics, right? He hides the ball really well.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot because he's all over the place. So you have to focus on a lot of different things. His elbow, his shoulder, his knee. He's throwing out it. So there's and then he hides the ball. So he's
yeah, but let's say
that aspect, and his angle, right, where he drops down and throws, But
assuming he goes, it's Rosario, it's Ligon,
and then somebody.
I mean, is McFarland is McFarland draftable this year? Because he's definitely gone if he is with his stuff.
No,
I mean, we got to get him in the rotation. Yeah. I am tired of this bullpen crap.
He's the guy that if he can get it together,
he's got the best stuff on the team.
He's got the best stuff on the team, and he should be your Friday night starter. I mean, that's
but between him and Rosario's got great stuff too. Like I mean, and then Ligon's solid.
It's all up here though. It's all up here for these guys.
There's a rotation there.
Oh yeah,
is Walters draftable? Because
I don't think Walters is draftable.
Okay, so then we got a rotation and a closer. That's enough.
So we've got that Giles coming back, obviously, which is great. Gage Zeal's another one that's coming back, which is great. Radalunas is gone, but that doesn't really matter.
No, our key bullpen arms are young. Actually, it's Torres. Torres is gone, right?
That's a good question, but he's a transfer from FIU, so I think he is gone.
Yeah, I think he
I
was.
think.
I think it's just a
Rafe,
1
I
year.
think Rafe will be back. I think he was hurt, so Rafe will be back.
Okay.
Schlesinger, which we need a lefty arm in the bullpen. We don't have. JP Gates is gone. I don't think he gets drafted. If he does, it's very, very, very
Yeah,
late.
but I mean, so the only ones that they said for sure were gone were Gates, Dubberly,
Arguez.
Arguelles, and there was one more. Oh, was Torres? Yeah. So those are the
But
ones
he's
they
not.
honored. Those are
Well,
the ones they honored on
actually,
Senior Day.
no, they didn't honor Torres.
I swear those were the 4.
I have a picture. I don't think they did. Anyways,
Anyway, yeah, this is
yeah,
good preparation. This is what we get for talking baseball once a year.
I think the biggest issues are going to be, who do they put at catcher? Is it going to be JD Jones, or are they going to bring some guy in, right? And now the transfer portal is heavy on in all sports, so you're going to see a lot of movement there. You're probably going to see some guys that might leave. Jacob Burke, I think, comes back.
Yeah, I think he'll come back,
which will be great. Zach Levinson is another guy that I think he can really develop into something nice. So you've got your outfield pretty much set. I like Renzo. I think Renzo's got I don't know. CJ Kafis, isn't he gone? Isn't he out? Or he's got another?
No, he's got one more.
Okay, so I like, obviously Kafis, your best all around hitter. Average wise,
he's definitely there.
So he stays there. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do next year.
Yeah, no, we got most of the team. And there's a few people not kind of most of the team coming back with another year under their
young
belt.
Talent
should be better.
This should be a really good team next year.
We should be a national seed legitimately versus like we lost 3 series in a row and they still gave us. We got mercy ruled in the ACC tournament. They gave us a national seed.
I know, it's crazy. But
yeah,
but anyways,
legitimately, yeah. So there's hope for the future, and that's another reason you don't. Does everyone really want to fire Gino and have half the team transfer and suck next year? Or you want to let these guys run it back one more time? I say run it back.
Run it back. But that's it for baseball.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Literally, that's it for baseball.
That's it.
That's all.
We'll see in February.
Oh God. Anyways, DJ, what's going on, Big Daddy? How you doing, man?
Good. I'm just listening to your baseball talk. Makes me wonder if I should start following college baseball a little bit more, because I do not follow college baseball. I'm mostly a college basketball and football guy, but
that's okay.
Man, get on the Canes bandwagon.
Oh man, don't do it to yourself.
Don't do it to myself. Okay.
Don't do it to yourself. Leave it up to us crazies. So talk to us a little bit. Hey, listen, there's actually a lot of things going on as far as official visits, unofficial visits. But the first one I really want to talk about, DJ, and obviously we're switching over to football, is Vish. You're familiar with this guy now, a big offensive lineman out of Finland, who plays his high school ball in Connecticut, but was down here on an official visit, if I'm not mistaken, this past weekend, and happened to stay down here. And we'll be going on campus tomorrow again. This is the big boy, Olaus Alanen. Did I say that right? Olaus Alanen.
I believe so. I've been struggling with that one myself. Right. So
the big offensive lineman, offensive tackle out of Connecticut by way of out of Finland by way of Connecticut, right? So talk to me a little bit about what obviously he was here this weekend, right?
Yep, he was here this weekend, and according to a report written a couple hours ago, he will return to Miami on Thursday. And this, to me, is a good time to return, because there are going to be several important prospects on campus this week and this weekend, actually. And it's interesting to me because it seems like the football commitments have come in bulk. Obviously, we had a big March. We landed the Washington brothers. We got Mitchell Agude from the transfer portal. We got Caleb Johnson. So I'm wondering if we're going to see another bulk of commitments pretty soon. As far as Alainen goes, he is 6'6", 315 pounds, according to his 24/7 Sports profile. He's a big guy. He can move really well. He's exactly the type of guy that Coach Mirabal is going to want to work with. He plays physically, and he's a player that should be able to be a productive player. He's not just a throw-in recruit. So I'm really excited to see where this goes, because, you look at some of the linemen in particular that are being recruited right now, and it's not enough to just have a couple good offensive linemen for a class. It's all about depth and building, and Alainen certainly fits the mold of what Miami wants to do.
Really quick before you, because obviously we don't have a ton of time, so we
Yeah.
want to talk about some of the guys that are going to be visiting. Real quick, I'm going to throw this to both of you. Quick answer, Vish. I know you gave a long answer on Max's show. This is a guy that could potentially come in next year and start day one,
Yep.
especially look at the offers that he has, right? His top four were Alabama, Georgia, and who someone else, Vish. I know you.
Let
I
me look
think
it up
you
real quick.
you might have him there, but this is a potential day one starter. He's not like what's his face? He's not like Zion Nelson that needs to put on 30 or 40 pounds just to be able to compete. This guy's ready to go.
He is.
Vish, I don't know if you can hear me there, but we'll go to you on that real quick.
Yeah, no, I think he could start day one. I think that's when Mario's probably selling him. It doesn't matter how big you are; you're not starting day one at Bama or Georgia or these other schools he's looking at. So I think that's the sales pitch, and it's not a lie. You could put him in our huddle right now, and he wouldn't look like a high school kid. He fits right in. So
Yeah.
I think that's the promise there. I mean, we talked again, like you said, we talked about this a lot on Max's show, but kind of the allure of South Florida for someone from Finland. It's probably a little bit stronger than going to Athens, Georgia. So,
Yeah.
hoping to leverage that as well. But yeah, no, he's probably these are the types of kids you need to get if you're gonna like take that next step as a program.
DJ, what were his offers? Do you have it there?
Ohio State was the other school.
Ohio
You guys had the
State.
first three, right? Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Alabama and Georgia.
Listen, if
yeah.
Mario could get this kid with that type of offer sheet, I mean that tells you a lot, right? That tells you some big time stuff. DJ, who do we got visiting soon, or who just recently visited? I know it was a big 2024 kid, cornerback, I believe, that just visited as well. Desmond Ricks and some other guys. Talk to us about some of the guys.
I do know that there are going to be a lot of visitors this weekend. Two guys that stand out to me are David Hicks, defensive end, and Nathaniel Joseph, the wide receiver. Hicks, I believe, he took a visit to campus in January. We've talked ad nauseum on the show about Miami wanting to continue to build out the defensive end position, and Hicks would certainly bring that to the table. He is quick. He moves really well. He's versatile, and he would definitely be able to help the Miami Hurricanes immediately. He is the top prospect in the 2023 class, I believe it is. Yep, 2023. And this would be another big get for Miami. We've kind of mentioned Mario wanting to build out the position, and over the course of spring ball, he hasn't really he doesn't feel confident about the position, we think, given how he's dipped into the transfer portal. So Hicks will be one to watch, and then wide receiver Nathaniel Joseph, he's committed to Clemson, but I know he's been
That's a
linked to
potential
Miami.
flip. That's a
potential
flip
flip
right
for sure. And so he is an explosive playmaker, a downfield threat, and when you look at the types of quarterbacks that Miami has been recruiting, the quarterbacks are good pocket passers who can get the ball down the field. Joseph can get down the field and make things happen after the catch. So he is definitely a name I'll be watching, and hopefully there's a flip in store.
Yeah, I think he would be an exciting addition to that wide receiver core, because you still got to get more talented guys there. David Hicks, five-star edge kid out of Texas.
Yeah, he's the big one.
He's the
the
big
one
one
that everyone wants.
And by the way, I saw him at Paradise Camp last year, and he was an absolute monster at Paradise Camp.
Maybe our boy Antonio Tripp can convince him. He's down this weekend.
He's coming down this weekend too.
Yeah, he's there. So he's our recruiter in chief. So let's see if he can.
We love us some Antonio Tripp, man. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to watch those guys. I think there's a couple of other guys that were here. Desmond Ricks, like I said, in 2024, potential 5-star kid, cornerback. I think the cornerback position is going to be interesting to see how they recruit that position. You got some really serious talent in 2023 and 2024, and obviously we all want to see that 2023 class start to pop off. And I've been lucky enough to see that looks like recruiting is going really well, just based off of some of the things that I've been hearing on my end. I hate to say it because it sounds so stupid. I hate to say this, but some of my sources are saying that Yeah, it's right.
Look at
Like,
Mr. Big Shot over here.
no, I don't
Whoa,
like.
whoa.
I prefaced it by saying that I hate saying that. I do not like saying.
Yeah, but then you went and said it, so you know,
But I had to. I have to. I just have to say it. My sources. My sources. No, but people have been saying that they're. I mean, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes peeled to Twitter and everywhere else because things are going to start popping off real soon for the University of Miami. So it's going to be interesting to see. Wide receiver from JUCO visiting next week. Fresh.
Real
I'm not
quick,
sure.
can I
Yeah.
just say something real quick
No,
on
no.
Ricks?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
I know that Miami really wanted him, and he really wanted to be a Hurricane. And I think, given that he is a 2024 prospect, he could be a cornerstone commit for the class should he commit to Miami. But you never know with recruiting. But I remember watching his film in January, and I was very impressed. He would be great to have down in Coral Gables.
Next week we'll definitely have a full slate of recruiting.
So I do think. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know this last time. I had looked it up. So I think the receiver he's talking about is Colby Young. Looks like we got this guy coming in the 13th. That is out of community college up in Pennsylvania. So that's the kid.
Look at Vish, recruiting expert over here, baby.
I mean, Max forced me to. But just so I don't lose my reputation,
appreciate it, Max. We appreciate it.
Just so I don't lose my reputation, I did look up. I went back to baseball. So it was Arguelles, Dubberly, Gates, and Ratalunas are the four that we honored. So yeah, Torres, I guess technically could come back.
Yeah, I guess he could.
I mean, some of these guys have so many years on them that they're probably going to go. We'll see who stays.
There you go.
It used to be that summer was a busy or a not so busy time for news and everything was dead. Not anymore.
No way.
I'm expecting a lot of news within the coming months. Hopefully good news, and it'll be exciting to watch it all unfold, especially as we get closer to football season.
Recruiting special next Wednesday. We'll definitely have some guys that we all know and love coming out to talk about some recruiting because I think we need. I think it's long overdue that we do that. So
like Vish will be
well, he's going to host the show. I'm not even.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm the recruiting expert, yes,
Thank you guys for hopping on and supporting the show. DJ Vish, always a pleasure. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at 6 Rings Canes. Follow us here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network as well. Subscribe, smash the like button. Check us out every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. 6 Rings Canes show, and we'll definitely have an awesome show for you guys next Wednesday. Again, thank you for dealing with our baseball rants today. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks,
DJ sitting there also like, what are these guys talking about?
We love you, DJ. You're the man, bro. You're the
man.
Love
you too. Love you guys too.
Well, we'll talk to you guys next Wednesday, but stay tuned. Should be fun.
Okay. Hitting the Apex in 2 minutes. Stay on the network.
Yeah, stay on the Apex.
Watch our F1 show.
Yeah, that one's gonna be fun today. It'll be fun. All right, see you guys there.
See you.